Hey everybody, welcome to video 2 of our Portraits in Pencil class. Today we'll be covering our shading. We will be creating values of light and dark to give our subject a more three-dimensional look. This is going to be so much fun. I've got my pencils out. Hopefully you've got all your supplies out and you're ready to go. And we're going to dive in and get started. Let's get started. We have our photos, we have our drawing. Now we're going to look at our darks and our lights here, this is another good reason to have a black and white photo rather than color, because you can see the tones better. You don't have to differentiate between, well, it's a dark color or it's a shadow. This gives you all the shading that you need. The dark areas are where we're going to be making and using our 2B pencils. And I'm going to start with the eyes because I like to get life into my portrait from the very beginning. It gives you incentive to keep going. So we're going to look at where our darks are, and right here, if we go into these areas, and especially on her, she's pretty dark in some of these areas, and we're just going to start getting those dark places in. Now, when we do her iris and her pupil here, we are going to leave a little highlight, because if you put the little highlight in the eye, it'll make it look more lifelike for you. So I'm going to start with the pupil, which is going to be fairly dark. You might even in your photo already have highlights. She does not, so I'm having to put them in myself. You can also put those in later with your kneaded eraser if you don't bear down too hard, because if you bear down too hard, it's very difficult to get that highlight put in there. And we're going to shade. The dark areas are going to go, you're going to bear down on your pencil. Okay, and I've done that here in these dark areas. Now for the center part, the center of your iris is lighter than the outer edge, so we're not going to bear down as hard. We're going to lift our pencil a little bit and we'll get a lighter shade with it. There's one eye. Now we're going to do around here and shade these right in here. She has a lot of shadows. You might not have as many shadows in yours. Just work with what you have. Lighten up that pencil when you get to the lighter parts. When you're shading and you're drawing, all you're doing basically is you're either pressing hard on your pencil or you're lightening up on it so that your shade is lighter. More pressure gives you darker. Less pressure gives you lighter. And when you're, let me show you this. Okay, I will take and show you a little demonstration right here. You have a dark line here. Now to go out, we can shade, we can go this way. And as we go out, we ease up on the pressure so that we go from dark to light. If you can see that. You can do the same thing with the harder pencil. This is an HB. And we just gradually ease the pressure so that we get lighter as we come out. There you go. Now if you want more dark in here, of course, you just add more pressure for longer and then gradually. naturally come up. Okay, let's get back to it. I need to sharpen. I don't erase my grid until the portrait is about complete, when I start adding in highlights. If you have a large area that you want to shade, you can also put your pencil on its side and use it in this way. Okay, now when you're doing your eyebrows, you want to keep your lines going in the direction that the hairs would on your eyebrows. Take your time. Okay. Now I'm going to move on to the next eye. Now, first I'm going to show you how to blend it a little bit. Now for blending, you can either use a blending stump, or if you're like me and like to get your hands dirty, you can use your hands or your fingers. I would just take and drag it out and smear it with my finger. Make sure you've got clean hands when you do it. There. And I'm going to go over and start the other eye. When you're creating your highlights, make sure that they are set proportionately in each eye. You don't want one way over on the left side of one eye and way over on the right side of the other eye, because light does not hit that way. If it's over on the right side in one eye, it needs to be on the right in the other eye. As you're shading, you might want to be careful where you're placing your hands. Because you can smear and get lead all over the side of your hand. If you want to, if you're worried about it, you can put something down when you shade. Let's go down to the nose. Now the nose can be very difficult. Look at your shapes, try and get things done. Get the basic shape down. Don't spend a lot of time trying to achieve perfection. And for some of these lighter places, I'm going to take the HB. And she has some really light shadows in her nose area here. So I'm just lightly going to fill in some of those. And you'll notice I have my pencil on its side, just to help me get a nice light, smooth shading. All right, now we're going to move on to her lips. I picked up my 2B pencil to get in my darks. Take note of the shapes of the highlights. If you concentrate on shape rather than struggling with getting the line exactly right, if you look at the shape, if you see a triangle, just make a triangle. It makes it that much easier when you're just concentrating on the actual shape instead of the whole lip. Okay, I'm going to pick up my HB because she has a highlight here on her bottom lip. It's very light. There. Now I'm going to take and blend some of this. And her lips, her nose, and her eyes are mostly done. They will change as we continue to shade and add highlights. But as you can see, she's beginning to look three-dimensional. She's looking at you. Let's keep working. A little mole right here. There. Now, when you get to the hair, the same rule is going to apply as applied with the eyebrow. You want to keep your lines going in the direction of the hair. Now I'm going to erase some of the lines in her face so that I can continue to shade in some of the lighter values that are actually lighter than the lines that I have on there right now. And I'm going to take my HB and Okay, now in doing her shirt, it's black here. I am not going to make this completely black. I will just shade in some of the creases. Now we're going to go through and erase our grid. We're going to be careful. In the tight areas, there's not a lot of space. You can use your kneaded eraser and you can shape it to what you need to pick up. Just go back over it a little bit to touch it up. It takes it all away. You can use it around her nose area. Do this so you can see it. This. Now my lines are a little harder to erase because I bore down a little harder than I normally would so that you could see what I was doing. But for the most part, they're all coming up. You can also erase your grid lines even before you shade. I mean, it's not necessary to keep them there. I just do because it helps me sometimes with the fill-in. Okay, now the lines that are in these areas, I'm going to use a kneaded eraser for. Okay, I'm just going to refill these lines that I took out. Now, we're going to highlight some of the areas with our kneaded eraser, which allows us to shape. So I'm going to start with the eyes, and she has these parts of her eyelids that are highlighted where it's very light. So I'm just going to take the kneaded eraser and I'm going to shape it as best I can in that small little shape there, and just pick up some of this and create a highlight. Same thing with the other side. And then down here on her eye, she has some spot here. Down here. Over here. Go into her nose here. Now I have a little dot here that I made measuring my line, so I'm going to take my kneaded eraser and really bring it to a point and try and pick up that dot mostly. See? And I'm going to take my pencil And continue to shade in here. And the dot is gone. On her hair, she has some really light wisps coming in. You can put this into a fine line and just ran it through, and it creates those hairs. And you can work on it as long as you'd like until you consider it finished. And just keep working and refining it until you call it done. And remember, practice makes perfect. The more of these that you do, the better you will get. Just keep on practicing. Keep on with your shading, your portrait drawing, and you will get better and better as time goes on. Thank you for joining the class, and I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'll see you in 2 weeks when we come back and do video 3, and you can share your projects with me. I am so excited. I cannot wait to see what you've created. Bye for now. Enjoy your drawing.